Years ago, I was camping in Maine with my family, and we were on a lobster boat. And the lobsterman is telling us all kinds of things about the lobster. And I was always curious as to why, at the end of August, the lobsters seem to be more expensive, and yet the shells are kind of soft. So he explained that at the end of the season, the lobster sheds its shell, and because it's vulnerable, doesn't have a shell to protect itself, it goes into hiding, which makes it then more difficult for the lobsterman to catch. So the supply is lower, the cost is higher, and it turns out that the lobster doesn't crawl into like an old lobster shell like the horseshoe crabs do. It secretes a substance from within where the shell is developed and takes a little bit of time. So at the end of the summer, the shell is soft and it's big, allowing the lobster to grow into it. So sometimes at the end of the summer, you get a lobster with a huge claw and there's not a whole lot of meat in it. So I'm sitting there in the boat and I'm thinking, my gosh, this is just like adolescence. First of all, they shed their childhood shell. And then they kind of go into hiding because they're pretty vulnerable. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they want to become. And in that vulnerability, sometimes they get pretty annoying. And they do all kinds of things to keep us away from them. But I began to understand that even though I had those shells stacked up in my closet and I knew which one I wanted each kid to crawl into, the fact of the matter was that each of them were going to have to create their own identity.